Today, I'm going to give you a little tattoo tour. I'm going to go in chronological order of how I got my tattoos and when. I started getting tattooed about 3 years ago. I went hard in the paint and got like 13 tattoos in a year or something like that. And since then, I've been a little bit more conservative with the space that I have because I don't want to run out of space. And what I'm finding is that I don't regret any of my tattoos, but I may see a placement or something online and be like, ugh, I wish I had the space for that. Overall, I'm happy with all the work that I have done, and I'm here to share it with you. This piece was done by an artist named Alex Richardson. He was tattooing out of Black Widow at the time, and that was the very first studio that I went to. I did a lot of research on black work and trying to find someone in the city that I could trust and go to. And so I found Black Widow. I emailed the shop, I told them my concept, and they went ahead and booked me in. So the first tattoo that I would have gotten is actually a horrible idea now that I think back on it, and actually at the time too. So this ended up being my very first piece, but my original idea was taking a still from an anime and kind of rendering that into a tattoo. Now the thing is, I don't even like anime, I don't even watch anime, I just like the aesthetics of it. And so I wanted to get this scene with this girl and a guy, and I wanted it a rectangle on my ankle. It would have wrapped, it would have been horrible. I got the drawing back from Alex originally, and I was like, wow, this is, even with this artistic eye, because I had seen his previous work, I was like, he can't even make this work. So scrap that. The night before the tattoo, I emailed the shop and I'm freaking out. I'm like, okay, look, I don't want to cancel my appointment. I want to keep my appointment, but can we do a different idea, please? And so they were very accommodating. Alex drew up a new drawing for me. I gave some inspiration, and this is how we came up with this piece, which is inspired by MC Escher. The original placement for some of my tattoos came out of wanting to not see them all the time. And so you'll see a little theme starting with the first couple of tattoos that I get. So this was the first one. It's like hidden on the back of my arm, and I wanted it that way. And mostly it was because I'm so picky in particular that I figured if I don't get something that's absolutely perfect, it's going to drive me nuts. And so I started there. My second piece is a little bit more visible, but still has that hidden element. And so that's this piece on my arm right here. It's a handcuff knot, and it's by Angie Faye in Toronto. And she tattoos out of Speakeasy. This tattoo was extremely painful. I would say it was an 8 out of 10 in pain. Meanwhile, the other tattoo was like a 6. Like, I don't even remember it hurting at all. The second tattoo like swelled up my arm. The healing process was fine. Swelling is something that happens when you get lots of tiny needles put into your body and injecting you with ink. So that's just how that is. Once I got this tattoo, I was on a tattoo kick. And so I would do a lot of research, mostly on Pinterest and Instagram, to be honest. And that's how I got the idea for my third tattoo. So with this third tattoo, it doesn't have any significant meaning to me, really. None of my tattoos do. I mean, I find significance in them after, and it tells me a little bit about why I've chosen it. But at the time that I got it, it didn't really mean much. I just liked the way that it looked, to be honest. So I went to artist Alex Richardson again at Black Widow. It's healed quite well. My next tattoo is of this fern on my knee. Again, not much meaning there. The pain-wise now, you would think that the knee is extremely painful just from what people tell you. But in my experience, it was a 7 out of 10. Maybe a little bit more painful than this arm, less painful than the inner arm for sure. And the only pain that I remember feeling, and it wasn't even pain, it was just discomfort, was when the artist name is Mason James, again out of Black Widow, He was going over my kneecap and it just felt like it was going to explode. But not painful. My next tattoo are these eyeballs on my shins. It's done by Jacqueline May out of Tattoo People at the time. Pain-wise, I would give it a 6 out of 10. It was kind of like a walk-in idea. I didn't do too much research on who I was going to get tattooed by, but luckily I got a really good artist. The tattoo shop is called Tattoo People, like I said, and it was close to my house at the time, and it just worked out nicely. My next tattoo is this bunny girl. The bunny girl is on the inside of my left leg. At this time, I was trying to fill out my leg, so I was really going for leg pieces. I really wanted to be tattooed by this artist. I saw them on Instagram. I had saved a bunch of their photos online. And I just knew I had to do it. And it was just about finding him and pinning him down and getting him to do my tattoo, because he was starting to get super popular around this time, like 2 years ago. The artist's name is Soup. And it was just one of those things where I just had to have it. And luckily the stars aligned and it worked out. So how I did it is through tattoo convention. I was stalking him on Instagram, and I say stalking, but following, you know what I mean. He was updating his stories saying that he's going to be at the tattoo convention, and he showed what booth, and so I thought it was a Saturday, I had nothing else really going on, went through the aisles and then finally found him. He wasn't tattooing that day, but he booked me in 2 weeks later at Holy Noir. I didn't have an idea of what he was gonna do. Some of his work is very sexual in nature, and I was kind of thinking oh, well, what if he draws something super raunchy on me? But that was a risk that I was willing to take because I really wanted a tattoo by Soup. So that's what I got. He drew me up this drawing, and I couldn't be happier. My next tattoo is of this rose with the banner going through it with words. I had come up with this design myself, except I had traditional roses going all throughout it. So I brought my sketch to Alex, who was working he had moved from Black Widow, moved on to The Village Inc. And I booked in with him. Didn't take very long, took about 2 weeks. And he redrew this for me and ended up going with the long stem and the rose hanging upside down. I think that what he did was modernize the tattoo. I don't have any traditional tattoos, and so it would have been kind of out of place to have some traditional flowers on there. So I like the interpretation that he came up with. This tattoo on my knee is by Tomeo, who has quickly become one of my favorite artists that I get to work with on my body. So this is a skull. So Tommy is known, I would say he's known for his skulls and his incredible use of shading. The tattoo that I got next is by an artist named Soft Point, aka Kat. Kat is, at the time, was based out of their home in a private studio, and it was my first time at a private studio actually, and I enjoyed the intimacy. They asked what I wanted to listen to, and I was like, I don't know, you're working, you pick what you want to listen to. And so we listened to Frank Ocean, we talked about folk punk, we talked about life, we had some mutual friends through hanging out at this DIY punk venue that is now RIP. Its name was D Bistro. You hang around there long enough, you make some friends. So with Kat, knowing that we had mutual friends and we're part of a similar community, it was nice to be tattooed by them. And it was actually a piece of flash. I believe this was my first piece of flash. I saw it again, had to have it. And I had the perfect placement for it on my leg. And I remember being asked, you know, what size I'd want it, and then they printed out a few options, and then I'm like, bigger, 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 which could be a tattoo artist's dream. Like, bigger is always better, and I like big tattoos. So I got that on the top of my leg, which left this awkward gap, which I ended up getting filled. The tattoo that I got after that was also by Soft Point. It's of this unicorn skull. It was one of those things, it was for a charity flash event, so I was really happy to be a part of that. I saw the posting and I had to get it. This spoke to me. You know, I'm not that into unicorns. You know how some people are like really into unicorns? I have like a pair of unicorn socks and like a little unicorn trinket from friends, but personally I'm not one of those people. But I saw the skull and it just fit my whole aesthetic. It fit my other tattoos. I had the placement for it, and so I got it. My next set of tattoos are on the inside of my arm, inside of my arms. This was a process. It had been like none of the other tattoos experiences that I have ever had, because first of all, they are a celebrity tattoo artist. Not knocking everyone else that I got tattooed by, they have their following as well. But Friorgi has a long waiting list, and rarely they open their books like 4 times a year. And so when I went to apply, I had to make up a little story about what I wanted. I knew that I wanted a piece by Friorgi. I just had no concept, no ideas of what I wanted. But I just knew that I loved the symmetry, I loved the darkness. I knew that I just had to get tattooed by them. And so what happened was, you know, just for fun, their books opened up. I went and applied, didn't think anything of it. I made up this story. I made up this story at the time, but it kind of holds true still to this day. But yeah, so the tattoos symbolize Korean culture a little bit. So that's a broad statement. Represent Korean symbols for me. And so, boop, boop, oh, can't see it. So my bird, why am I doing that? You can't even see it. So going from right to left is a rabbit, which represents me and my favorite animal and my zodiac sign. I have a galaxy swirl, which is just something that I wanted on me because I really liked how they did the dark dot work. And I have lavender because lavender is my favorite scent, and I thought that it would balance nicely with the rest of the tattoos. And then on the left arm, I have the magpie, which is the national bird of Korea, a tiger, and a hibiscus, which is the national flower of Korea. So let me get a little bit into the bunny and the tiger thing. Kind of popularly known that the Korean country shape looks like a rabbit. But Koreans are trying to convince the rest of the world that it looks like a tiger, like doing this. So I think that that's just a funny little contrast to, like, they're trying to go from a meek rabbit country to a strong tiger country. I can go into a whole story about how this experience was. Going to Brooklyn, going to a private studio, working with a tattoo insta-famous person, and pain-wise. Maybe I'll get to that in another video because it's going to be way too long. But for now, All I can say is that the intricacy and the detail was exactly what I was looking for when I was before working with Free Orgy. And you know, you get what you pay for. It was very expensive, but again, it's on you for longer than you drive a car. So I have no hesitations about spending money on tattoos. My next tattoos are on the backs of my calves. If you're gonna get the backs of your calves done, don't. I say that because pain-wise, it was 9 out of 10. I did one. I didn't do them on the same day. I got them a few weeks or maybe a couple months apart. But the first one was excruciating. It wasn't a heavy-handed tattoo artist or anything. This again was by Tomeo. I came up with the concept, gave him my little chicken scratches, and he went and made it into these beautiful pieces. But the first one was excruciating, and then I knew I wanted to have them match, so I went for the second one. And it was just as equally excruciating. And people that I know who have back of the calf tattoos also agree that it is horrible. I'm glad that I did it. I still have some space to fill out, but I'm scared to do it again. This was a piece of flash by the Half Decent. He posted it on his Instagram. I was like, this is perfect for me. It's a realistic bunny. It incorporates some tattoo drips and stuff like that. Tattoo drips, I mean graffiti drips. It's bold, it's black. It was my first realism tattoo. And pain-wise, it was maybe a 6. I can handle a tattoo for like 4 hours, but anything longer than that gets very painful with like the wiping and all that stuff. The tattoo that I got after the bunny tattoo is this puffin that is affectionately known as Puff Daddy. So I got this on a flash day. I stood in line at Holy Noir, waited for a couple hours, I guess, and then finally got in to see Shadri, who did the tattoo. I picked it because I went in knowing it was a very spontaneous thing. I had just heard about it that morning, I think, and I was like, should I go or should I not go? And then I saw Shadri post this puffin. And I was like, this is perfect. I just got back from Iceland. Iceland being like known for the puffin bird. And I just got back from Iceland. I really, really wanted a bird from Shadri eventually. So no brainer. Went in, did it. Took no time at all. I swear this tattoo took like 45 minutes, and that's an exaggeration, but it was maybe like, it was very quick. Okay, so I know I said that the back of the calf tattoos were the worst. Now that I think back on it, this tattoo was actually the worst. It's by Monkey Diamond out of Holy Noir. It was a flash day again. I think it was for charity. I don't entirely remember. But it was a flash day. Flash days for me are very spontaneous, as they often are. I just went in, I knew I wanted a tattoo by Monkey Diamond because I have almost every single artist from Holy Noir on my body, every single permanent resident artist. So this was just part of the collection. I went in kind of wanting a tattoo by Kurt Montgomery, but there was nothing on the flash sheet that really spoke to me. I saw this. It's kind of like a take on the traditional kind of stairwell. It has like the light bulb, which kind of looks like a noose, which I'm okay with. And the process was painful. I don't know if it was because of the placement or it was just from Monkey Diamond. All I can say is that it felt like grinding on the inside of my ankle for like, it was like 20 minutes maybe it took, but it was like I would do the backs of my calves over again rather than do this tattoo over again. So if the calves were a 9, then this was a 10 out of 10. I think it was like the most pain I could take. But those aren't all of my tattoos. Those are the tattoos that I wanted to talk about. I have a few more sprinkled here and there, and I got some new ones since that weren't posted on Instagram that I don't have really good photos of, but I'll talk about those in my next tattoo update because I do have some booked and I have some in the works, which I'm very excited about. And that's it. So tattoo tour number 1. Thanks for watching. Bye.